Welcome to the Redirect Podcast. My name is Abigail Hewins.
And I'm Emily Rojas. The Redirect Podcast is a show where we shift the conversation back to books. We discuss themes from some of our favorite fictional books and how those themes show up in real lived experiences.
On today's episode, we'll be giving you the ultimate bookish gift guide and sharing our gift ideas for the book lover in your life. But first, Emily, hello, how are you?
Hello, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. It's not quite Christmas yet.
Not really, no, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. So what are your plans for Christmas this year?
Well, my plans, first of all, my plan is to get a Christmas tree, which I have not yet done at the recording of this podcast. And this is late for me. I don't know about you, but I'm normally a day after Thanksgiving Christmas tree buyer, but I don't know, just haven't had the gumption. So that would be step one. And step two is normally me and Eric, we spend Thanksgiving week with my family at the beach. So we're there the whole entire week. So then we kind of try to switch it up at Christmas and we'll go stay with his family for about a week. And then still though, like our parents live really close to each other. So I think that's great because we'll still be able to go over to my parents on Christmas. His family celebrates more like Christmas Eve. Like they usually have a party or something on Christmas Eve with family or friends. So I think that it works out really great. So then, my cousins and everything, we always go over to my grandma's house. Although I say always, we have not since COVID because, the first year, we just decided to cancel it, obviously in 2020. And then last year we were going to have it again, but literally almost every person in my family got COVID, like the day or two before Christmas. So I'm really looking forward to that coming back. We have an elaborate gift exchange situation there. And I think we're doing appetizers as dinner this year. So everyone brings an appetizer. So yeah, I think it'll be, I hope I'll return to a normal feeling Christmas because I don't feel like I've had one in a while. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. And I feel like maybe that's why I'm not in the spirit yet. Because I'm like, I haven't had like a good Christmas in a few years. But anyways, I watched the Santa Claus today. So that's step one.
That's seminal. Yeah, totally. I'm with you on the Christmas tree thing. Haven't gotten one yet. I don't know if it's partly like living in LA. It just doesn't feel... it's only as we record this, it's a week after. It's like the week after Thanksgiving weekend, so it's not like that late. But I don't know. Yeah, so I'm actually doing that after we finish recording today, and I think we're just gonna get one of those little tabletop trees from like Trader Joe's.
That's
like,
cute. Yeah.
Partly because we're actually not going to be here on Christmas Day because we are going camping.
Oh,
I know. So it's a big risk. It's a very big risk, and I know that. But this is our first Christmas living in California, and both of our families live, obviously, in Georgia and North Carolina. So we are not going to be traveling back. But so we just decided, okay, well, we spent Thanksgiving here, which was great. But we kind of just were like, well, let's just throw out the whole book. If we're not doing something traditional, why don't we just like totally mix it up? So we decided to take a little road trip up Highway 1 and go camping in Big Sur, a la Taylor Swift and Carly Kloss. And
interesting.
And so we're going to drive up on Christmas Eve and then wake up there Christmas Day. And we have it booked for Christmas night as well. If it's terrible and we hate it, we can just come back home, which is fine. But it'll be fun. It'll be a good memory no matter what. I'm starting to get a little nervous, but I think it'll be great. And we're taking our dog.
Have you guys ever gone camping together before? I don't remember.
We have not.
Oh, okay.
So we're renting gear from
yeah.
We're renting gear from REI. We have our campsite booked. So yeah, it'll be an adventure. I mean, the road trip up alone is really beautiful. My mom and I drove down the coast, like from the Central Coast down to Southern California, in September, and it was just really, really beautiful. And so I'm really looking forward to experiencing that with Zach. And it'll either be great or bad, but
like most things,
it'll be. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So speaking of Christmas, and gift guides and books and everything, what kind of gift giver are you? Are you good at giving Christmas gifts in your opinion?
Well, humbly, yes. I just love giving presents. And so Christmas, I feel like I thrive. I wish I had unlimited money, that's a big
Yeah.
downer, but I like have had a spreadsheet for about 2 months now of looking for gifts for everyone in my family. Just I try to find a perfect thing. I love if I can make them cry. I don't think I'm gonna get any tears this year, but just in general, like I really enjoy giving gifts. So yeah, that's kind of my strategy is I make a little Excel doc every year and I try to put like a links or something if I find because you got to spread out the buying financially.
Yeah,
So
that's key.
so, maybe I'll find some things and I'll put them in there and then buy them later on. So I try to start, early November looking and then buying throughout, the month and then into December. So I've gotten almost everyone's gift so far. I think maybe everyone's. I think I have a few little things I want to add on to some people's gifts, but I have at least the idea and the main things purchased for everyone.
Good for
So
you.
yeah. And tragically, I used to live in an apartment where we had a gift wrapping room and it was the best. Like, I've never heard of that before. I'll probably never experience it again. But now I'm like, oh, I guess I have to go buy wrapping paper. Like, I haven't had to do that in a few
That
years.
is really unusual. What a great amenity.
It was amazing. I think it was just an extra room that they like didn't know what to do with, and someone must have come up with that idea, but it really comes in handy. They had everything from like ribbons and tags and stickers and tissue paper. Like they would keep it fully stocked. So I really am gonna miss that this year, but I love to give gifts, and that's my love language as well, is giving and receiving gifts. I love to get gifts, and I really do love to give them. Like that's the best part of Christmas to me is seeing people open a gift and know that I have really put thought into it. So
And you won.
yeah, I win. It's a competition as well. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah. So I don't relate to that as much. Like I enjoy giving gifts and getting them, but I don't. The idea kind of stresses me out a little bit, so I don't start planning as early as you do. And also this year, like because we're not physically going to be with a lot of family, we are kind of getting out of that a little bit. My parents are coming to visit in early January, so we'll exchange gifts with them. But I mean,
That's kind of like if you're not even going to see them, like
and me and Zach aren't even doing gifts this year because we bought a TV for Black Friday.
nice,
That's something Zach really wanted. So,
interesting.
and also I'm getting a big gift soon. So,
Yeah.
wink, wink. So,
No, I think
it all
that's
evened
almost
out.
great. Like I think, especially if you're in a relationship, if like I saw this one couple on TikTok and they were like, every year, when the kids go to sleep on Christmas Eve, my husband and I, we don't give each other gifts. We plan our trip for the year, and like that's what we
Oh,
spend our
great.
gift money on, and like that's their Christmas Eve tradition. I'm like, that is so fun. Like, what a great idea. I think it's almost better to spend the money on something you both can enjoy, like than just
Yeah,
one
rather than just like,
trying to
and also
guess.
our anniversary is on in late November.
Yeah.
So we exchange gifts for that. So then it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
I got this cool
Ooh,
watch.
that's nice.
It's like
Yes, like a
a Amazon
fitness watch.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Well, speaking of gifts, let's get into it. A safe thing around the board to get a family member is a book.
Amen. I really believe that. I have one book this year I'm giving, not to spoil anything, but I feel like almost every year I end up with some kind of book or book related gift. I feel like there's just so many options, and like I think you might be thinking, like, my family members hate reading. They're not going to want a book. But I think somewhere in here, there is some kind of book or book related gift that would work for anyone in your family. So I think we're going to cover anyone you know, and you'll get some ideas from us.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully.
I mean, I think books are usually a great idea for like dads, grandpas. Like, that's safe. I like somebody who maybe is a new family member, an in-law, someone you don't want to get someone super personal,
Amen.
but you know that they might find this interesting. Like a book is a really great place to start. And hey, it could even ignite someone's love of reading or like relight that flame,
Yeah.
re-spark that, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's
Awesome.
get into it. Emily, what's your first category of book
Okay.
that you would give for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever?
My first category for any kind of gift is this is for the true person who does love to read, so just off the bat. But it is a beautiful version of a classic book that they love. Especially with like classic literature, there are so many versions of books that are like beautifully bound or illustrated. I know there's like an illustrated Harry Potter books. Not that I support giving your money to J.K. Rowling necessarily, but like even modern classics is my point. There are like beautiful versions of them. So I think if you know they love a book, like I obviously love The Count of Monte Cristo. When I was visiting Abigail, I found a super cool version of it. Even though I already own the book, I was happy to buy a second version. I also have a bound version of the Chronicles of Narnia, which it has all of them in one big book. It has like a gold, edging on the pages. It's like almost like a Bible, honestly, because it's that thick and it has that edging. And then the cover is just beautiful and there's like illustrations inside. And that is like a treasured thing that I bought for myself, but it would make a great gift if you know someone is like a Narnia fan, for example. I think that would be cool. But they make so many of these nowadays of like any classic novel. I think I have another one that's like for Peter Pan. I'm looking at my bookshelves, but any classic novel has a version of itself that is like beautiful. I think, especially like at Barnes and Noble or something, you can really find these. So I think if you know someone is a book lover and you know they like I love books. I love to have physical books. So that's another prerequisite. They love having books. And you know a book that they really love or something maybe that was special to them in childhood or anything like that. I think this would be a safe bet that they would really enjoy having under the tree or, for their birthday or whenever you're buying a gift for someone. So that's my first choice.
I love that. So speaking of that, that's what I got Zach for our anniversary was a really pretty bound version of the Lord of the Rings books. And it has like what you're talking about, like it has red edging on the paper or on the pages, and it has like those shiny like Bible like bookmarks and original illustrations from Tolkien. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool. And I'm like, he already has like a million other versions of it, but he really wanted this like special. I mean, if you love something that much, like you want it to be pretty. So.
Yeah, so this does require you to know a little bit about the person you're buying for, because you want it to be a book that they really like. But I think even if you know, like, there are plenty of books like Sense and Sensibility or Pride and Prejudice. If you know they like that kind of book, maybe you don't have to know that they love that book in particular, but because it's such a classic, and I'm sure there's plenty of beautiful versions of it, that can be a great option.
So my first category is for the amateur mental health professional or the psychology junkie, the person who's always talking about therapy or or talking about their personality types. If you have a lover of like the Enneagram or Myers-Briggs, someone who falls into that like Venn diagram of person, I have a few books to recommend. So one of them probably sounds familiar, and that is The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. This is a big book this year, but that was for a reason. So it's a book where Dr. van der Kolk uses scientific advances to show how trauma actually literally shapes the body and the brain, and how we store trauma in our bodies, not just big traumatic events, like big things that have happened to us, like for instance, like a car accident or something, but even just little t traumas, like things that have stuck with us. And in that explores innovative treatments that involve the body. A lot of this research is based around his work with returned Vietnam War veterans who are suffering from PTSD. I listened to this on audiobook. That's probably how I would recommend it. If you're giving it as a gift, then you could give it that way, or you can give like an Audible gift card or something like that. But I really liked it. I will be giving this as a gift this year. So that's my first one. The second one is The Wisdom of Your Body by Dr. Hilary McBride, who I was introduced to during her tenure as a co-host of the Liturgist podcast. And I know Emily's on it. Yeah. Yeah. So she's really cool. And so this whole book is about the idea of embodiment. So my entrance into this was the Liturgist podcast actually had an episode about embodiment. And I honestly had no idea what that even meant until I listened to the podcast. Like, what does it mean to really live inside of your body and have awareness of your body? So she discusses messages that we receive about our bodies, like shameful messages, positive messages, fat liberation, body positivity, and how we could reframe those and heal those hurts through listening and honoring our bodies, which I really love. And as, really something that I've tried to integrate into my own life throughout this year. Love her. She's very, very smart, has been in school for like a trillion years, and is a survivor of an eating disorder. So she brings also like a lot of personal experience into this whole conversation about embodiment and messages we hear about our bodies. So highly recommend. And then the third book I would recommend for the amateur mental health professional in your life is Group by Christy Tate. So this is a memoir about a woman who entered into group therapy in her early 20s. And basically, she was finishing up law school. She said, I don't know why, but I cannot get into a relationship. I cannot enter a romantic relationship. I can't make it happen. I don't know how to date. So she decided to start seeing this therapist who only operates within group therapy. And she told him, I will, I'll give you 5 years. And if you can't get me into a relationship within 5 years, then that's it. That's what you have. And she kind of chronicles this experience over 5 years in multiple different groups with the same therapist and her experience sharing therapy with a group of people, which was so interesting to me and honestly made me want to try group therapy. It's really witty, insightful, and you get to see the main characters, her growth and progression. So I'd recommend those 3.
That book sounds so interesting. I will definitely have to add that to my list. But
yeah, I think you would like that one.
I think so. Awesome. I'm getting gifts for myself. That's the problem with this. I feel like I get too many things that I'm like, well, now I want that.
I got Group on Libby, so they probably have it at the library.
I'll check it out. Okay, so my second one, this is probably my favorite gift. I give this as a gift often, but it is cookbooks. Here's why. I think cookbooks, anyone can use a cookbook. There are so many different types out there, from the people who are super into cooking and just want to learn more, elevate it, or people who have no knowledge. There are basic cookbooks. Anything you're interested in, any cuisine, you can get a cookbook. Also, I think they are beautiful, underrated, because cookbooks have some of the best photography, obviously, some of the most fascinating writing, storytelling. So the first one, I have given this as a gift before, and I own it myself. It's my favorite cookbook. I heard an interview with this chef on NPR, and I instantly ordered the cookbook that he was talking about because he is just such a compelling chef. I think he is also featured in the Netflix show Chef's Table, I think it is called. He's in one of those.
I love Chef's Table.
Yes, I think he's in one of those episodes. And it's Enrique Olvera. He's a Mexican chef, and the book is Tu Casa Mi Casa. This book, my husband is Mexican, so I did also want to learn. We were dating at the time about this, but I wanted to learn more recipes from obviously his culture, and this book is so good. It has some very basics, just salsa recipes, how to make rice, but also some very complex recipes. But all of them are so simple. But also his writing is so good. Just how he talks about cooking, how he talks about food. It's very pretty. It's a really, really good book. So if someone likes Mexican food, it's not Tex-Mex food. It's legitimate Mexican food. And he's a very renowned, acclaimed chef. So that's one of my favorites. Also, one I've given as a gift before is from Crook to Cook by Snoop Dogg. So this is for, I gave it to my little brother. This is such a funny book. It has great, like, it's Snoop Dogg. So, you can imagine it's hilarious. And some of the recipes are really fun. And so I think this would be great for like a younger person or someone who loves hip hop or someone who loves specifically Snoop Dogg or just someone with like a good sense of humor because it is kind of funny. Also, one that I just have and I love is 30-Minute One Pot Meals by Joanna Cismaro. And these are so great because there is nothing better than a one pot meal. And these are all genuinely.
Speak on that.
They are one pot meals. Some of them are like one wok, one Dutch oven, one pot, one pan. So there's different categories, but all of them will only take up one dish.
Speak on that.
And so they're really good. I have some of my like go-to recipes that I got from this cookbook. So this is really good for like college students, I think, or someone who's just starting out, and especially
people
like
who
when
hate doing dishes.
Yes, like you don't have a lot of dishes, or you don't have a space to do your dishes. Like if you're living with other people, or you don't have a dishwasher. Like there's so many things. So this book, it has great recipes. So I think it's great for those people who don't have a lot of time. Maybe working parents. This could be a great gift for them as well. Then my last one specifically is the Great British Bake Off. They have, I think, 2 now, maybe more, cookbooks of recipes from chefs who were on the show, or bakers, I guess. And I think this makes a great gift because you definitely know someone in your life who loves the Great British Bake Off or who loves baking or both. And so I think these are really, really nice, high quality baking cookbooks. And you can cook some of the recipes you see like on TV, which is fun. But just in general, I think there are so many cookbooks out there, and like there are cookbooks that are centered around movies, TV shows, theme parks. There's like the Disney cookbook and the Universal Studios cookbook, or by like famous people are making cookbooks. So I think if you're not sure, what type of cook they are, you can definitely find a cookbook that's related to any interest. And so if you know someone's interest, maybe they have an interest in cooking a little bit, I think you can find something really fun that will suit them. And I am giving a cookbook for Christmas this year. I'm not going to say to whom or what it is, but I just bought it yesterday and I'm really excited about it. So I think this is a great gift.
That is I love a cookbook for a few reasons. A, like you said, they're pretty. Also, it is annoying to look at recipes on your phone while you're cooking, and then your screen blacks out and your hands are like covered in like chicken, and then you're like, oh, well.
And you have to read the childhood story of the author, and then you try to click jump to recipe, and there's pop-up ads. Yeah, cookbooks are superior in every way.
But my one other thought that was triggered when you were saying that was the episode of The Office where Kevin has Ultra Feast, and he is making a themed cookbook recipe. It's Edward's cornflake chicken from the Twilight recipe.
Exactly.
And for the record, mentioned Twilight in this episode, so we're going strong with our goal of mentioning Twilight in as many episodes as possible.
Actually, in my Christmas shopping this year, I saw a like chili recipe cookbook with Kevin on the front. Like you can buy that for someone, and it's only chili recipes from around the world, and it's Kevin's chilies. So there is literally anything you can imagine.
There is anything. So varying quality, but there's anything.
Yes. I have Boston Rob's cookbook. My mom got that for me for Christmas last year. Boston Rob from Survivor, his family cookbook. I can't say I've made any of the recipes, but it's a great addition to my shelf.
To the collection.
What's your next gift?
So my next category is for the spiritual person in your life. And I say spiritual because I think for these books to work as gifts, the person would maybe need to be a little bit open-minded about spirituality and religion and God. But the first book is Falling Upward by Richard Rohr. This is not a hot take. This is a well-loved book, but was very transformative for me. So in this book, Richard Rohr talks about the 2 stages in the life of a faithful person, and how in the first stage of life, both stages are very necessary and critical to like your life as a spiritual person. But in the first part of your life, you really need laws and rules and black and white and binaries to help guide you in your morality and to help kind of raise you up as a spiritual person. But in the second half of life, your heart can like open to to bigger ideas, and you can see God in more places than you saw before. So, God doesn't, for instance, only live in Christian music, but you could experience God through any genre of music, through rap or country or pop, or just as an example. He speaks on it much more knowledgeably and eloquently than that summary did justice to, but it was very transformative for me in helping me understand the progression of a faithful person, and that some people never leave the very first stage of faith. And it helps me understand maybe some people who are very rigid in their beliefs and their faith, and it's very wise, and I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend that for the spiritual person in your life. Another book I recommend is Native by Caitlin Curtis. So Caitlin Curtis is a Native American woman. She's a member of the Potawatomi Nation and is a Christian. So she discusses how her Native American heritage, the beliefs that she learned through that tradition, marrying with her Christian faith and upbringing, like how those things have worked together and how they've helped her learn lots of things about God, her identity, belonging, and rediscovering God in a complex world. And it is really, really beautiful. It gave me a lot of appreciation, and it helped me learn a lot about some indigenous religions that I didn't know, and how in so many ways, so many of us across many different faiths are really just kind of trying to say the same thing with different words and different tools. So it was really beautiful. And she also spends a lot of time talking about her childhood growing up on a reservation in Oklahoma, which is very far away from her ancestral lands. So the Potawatomi Nation, were a tribe that originated in the Great Lakes area, but then during the Trail of Tears, was forced to a reservation in Oklahoma. So she even tells really cool stories about her people and the way that they had to relearn growing crops in such different places and the lessons she learned about God. So anyways, it's great for a pensive person who's interested in that kind of thing. I would highly recommend this book.
Yeah, I've been wanting to read that book for a long time.
If you're entering this book as a Christian person or someone who grew up with a Christian upbringing, this is a really interesting perspective because Caitlin Curtis also was raised in an evangelical church. So with those two things side by side, if you listen to the audiobook, or if you gift the audiobook, she is the narrator, which I always love when the author narrates. So those are my recommendations for the spiritual person in your life.
Those sound really good.
Emily, what's up next?
Okay, so next I've put this into the big, broad category of e-reading tools. And last Christmas, this was probably my favorite gift, maybe ever, but definitely last year. My parents gave me a Kindle, and I never thought I used to have a Nook from Barnes & Noble, but I didn't really use it that much, and then it broke and whatever. So I was like, am I going to use this? But I do all the time, and especially getting on Libby where you can get free books. I'm there all the time. So I think if someone is a big reader, giving them a Kindle is just that's a baller gift. So this is the top tier. I'm going to give you some lower tier options as well. But I will say I just love that gift, and especially getting it on Christmas. Everyone got sick last year, so I was at Eric's house. I didn't go to my family's. And we didn't really want to go out and do much because obviously COVID was spreading a lot. So we just kind of stayed home a lot of the time. And I read like 8 books because I had it on my Kindle. It's just so easy. I didn't have to carry things around. So I'm a big Kindle person. But also, like, if you don't want to buy a whole Kindle, I think like Abigail mentioned, an Audible gift card or buying someone a subscription to Audible. Also, when I got my Kindle, I got 3 months of Kindle Unlimited. And that was really cool because it's like $9.99 a month, and you get unlimited books for free. They have only certain titles available, so I canceled it after like 6 months, but they did have a lot of good books available, and that was especially great over the holidays when I had more free time. I could just read like some random books on there. Also though, like I have a Kindle cover that's I think is really cute. So there's so many of those you can look on Etsy or something, and there are so many like sleeves or holders or covers for Kindles. If someone already has one. Also, they have like electronic page turners, so you can like prop it up and then you can like click something and it'll turn the page for you. So then you don't have to actually, like if you're in bed or something, you don't have to hold it. Also, they have like little stands. I was looking just on Etsy. I searched like Kindle, book lover gifts, and there's like pages and pages of accessories and options. So I think this can be great if you know someone is a big e-reader or they don't want to have a lot of books. There's a lot of gifts you can give to someone that aren't necessarily physical books, but can really support their reading habit, or even just like a cute like coffee mug that's book related, or a cute bookmark, or like it can be something small that's not a book, but it could be like an accessory. So I think that's a great option.
Love that. It's like if you really can't use your hands because it's just too hard. I love the page turn idea. I've been seeing a lot of those like tablet or like e-reader holders that you can like put in your bed at night. So like when you're laying
and it
down,
like holds it in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love
Get them that.
It's like the 2022 version of like a book light.
Yeah, exactly. Which was a great, I think I had one of those as well given to me at one point as a kid. And so, yeah, this is the updated version.
Okay, so my next category is for the host or the hostess in your life. I know many of these, including especially my mom. It's just like the first person that comes to my mind when I think about like hospitality and hosting and hostessing and etc. So, but Mom, if you're listening, I did not get you either of these books for Christmas. So the first,
no spoilers.
And okay, we have to allow me a little bit of grace here because I'm not Danish, but the first is The Little Book of Hygge. Hygge is that word that's spelled Hygge. It's a Danish word. But that is by, I'm so sorry, Mike Weeking. I'm so sorry to you. Loved your book. I'm so sorry to you for butchering that. But okay. So hygge is a Danish and Norwegian term that describes a mood of coziness and comfortability. Imagine like thick wool socks, being by the fire, cozy lighting, warm food. This is like a big Danish principle. It's like a Danish way of living life. And it is totally antithetical to American culture. This is why you'll love it. It's a great breath of fresh air. This is even a great stocking stuffer because it's a small book. You could probably read it in one sitting, and it kind of just goes through a little things like how to have like a hygge dinner, or like how to change little things in your house to make them more in line with hygge. So I love it. It definitely evokes like feelings of just warmth and like big soft pillows and basically creating like a supportive life, like creating a home that feels supportive and like designing your home in a way that's like supportive and comfortable to you and not just aesthetically pleasing. Like that's the difference. It is aesthetically pleasing, but that's not the purpose of it. The thing that it provides you is not the aesthetic. It's the environment. It's an environmental philosophy. So I recommend that to the person with the gift of hospitality in your life. And then the second thing I would recommend to this person would be Dessert Person and or What's for Dessert by Claire Saffitz. These are two cookbooks from Claire Saffitz, who you may know from the Bon Appetit YouTube fame. So I love her. Dessert Person was her first cookbook, and I usually make her molasses spice cookies from that book around Christmas time. She just released a new one called What's for Dessert. She has an amazing YouTube channel that is just so calming. It's so relaxing to just sit there and watch her bake through. Like, she just bakes through her books. which is so great. Their family recipes are doable. They're not super crazy or showy, but they taste great and it's just great. That would be an amazing gift for somebody. It's exclusively desserts. I think she may have like a few like savory bread recipes, but this is not going to be like how to have like a sugar-free dessert. No, this is not like how to cut carbs on dessert and like make it keto friendly. This is just like good old fashioned dessertness with full fat, full chocolate, butter, everything. And it's great. And I would love to receive the new one as a gift.
Hypothetically,
so highly recommend. Oh, and they're beautiful.
Those sound really good. Yeah.
To your point about cookbooks, these are very, very beautiful books.
Awesome.
All right, back to you, Emily.
So I think our last categories are kind of the same vibe, but I think maybe we have different options. So I think a memoir of a celebrity or public figure that the person admires, this is always a great bet. Because you can really tailor it. Like, I think even if someone doesn't like to read, but like they really, really love certain actor or athlete or musician or politician or anyone, they're going to want to read about that person's life. Or like Abigail said, a lot of these are narrated by that person. So that audible gift can also be a great option, like for them to listen to the person talking about their life. So I think this is just a great gift because even the most reticent readers will probably enjoy reading. And I think the thing about memoirs too is they're also really easy reads because normally like the people writing them aren't necessarily like prolific writers or super like, a lot of times they're ghostwritten, let's just be honest, or they're funny. Like, I think they're just easier to read. So I think this can be a great gift for someone who's not necessarily a book enthusiast. Some great ones I read either this year or in life. This year I read Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died. It's heavy.
It is. I'm halfway through it.
Oh, it's so good.
It is better than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be overrated.
Yes. And she actually has been, I believe, writing for some publication for a little while. Like, she's been in the field of writing, and she kind of talks about in her memoir, like, there was a time where she really wanted to be a writer, not necessarily an actor. So she is definitely a very good writer, compared to a lot of memoirs.
Heavy trigger warnings.
Heavy. Please look into them. And maybe don't give this to just anyone. Like, be very cautious.
Don't give it to a teenager.
No, but it is a really, really good memoir. Also, I think if they're a Bachelor or Bachelorette fan, Rachel Lindsay's Miss Me With That is a great memoir. I have never read any other Bachelor
Queen
or Bachelorette book. I really don't plan to, but I'm really a big fan of Rachel Lindsay. I'm a big fan of her podcast she has, Higher Learning, and so I decided to give this book a try. And she was definitely way more honest about stuff than I thought she would be. I think this is a really good one because it seems like she's done a lot of self-reflection, and so she was like not necessarily critical of herself in like a hatred way or like really down on herself, but I think she was able to be objective about herself at times in her life where maybe she had made a mistake or had been doing something she wasn't as proud of. So like she was able to, it wasn't just painting herself in an amazing light the whole time. I think it was very honest. She talks about a lot of different topics in hers. She went to law school, so that's covered. She grew up in a very like religious family, so she talks about some of her like thoughts about religion and like purity culture. She goes into a lot, and obviously her time on The Bachelor and Bachelorette, it was really fun. It was a really easy read, and I was very pleasantly surprised by that one. So I think if they're a fan of The Bachelor, they would really like that. Another great one is Amy Poehler's memoir, Yes, Please. I read this one a while ago, but I still think about it fondly because I think she's so funny, and that really comes across in her writing. And so if they're a Parks and Rec fan, like this could be a great one. And then obviously I just have to plug Jane Goodall's books because I love Jane Goodall, if you don't know that about me. But she has written several books. So if they're like a nature lover, animal lover, I especially love In the Shadow of Man is one of her books about her time looking at the chimps and studying them. And she just writes about animal behavior in a way that is like it makes them feel like people, like you want to know the drama going on, but it's about animals. And so I think if anyone, even if they're not like necessarily a Jane Goodall fan, if they are an animal lover or a scientist lover or nature lover, like they could really get into her books. And she has several, so there's a lot to choose from, but that is my personal favorite. So yeah, I think, and just in general, like if, again, it's kind of the same thing as the cookbook, like you know their interests, you can find a memoir that will suit them or about that's someone that they're interested in learning more about.
Love. Yeah, I love a memoir too. I think memoirs make particularly good gifts because it just is pretty much contingent on like your interest in the person who wrote them. Or just a really compelling story, which is how I got to the two that made it on my list. So Made by Stephanie Land. If you're not familiar with the book, you may be familiar with the Netflix series, which came out this year, an adaptation of the book. It took some pretty big liberties, so it's not quite representative of the book. But this one, it really impacted me. It is the story of a single mother, Stephanie. It's her own story, obviously, it's memoir. But having an alcoholic partner and a young child, kind of floating from homeless shelter to women's shelter to try and like establish herself. She starts working as a maid, and she talks about her journey like on public assistance, working minimum wage jobs, and like her resiliency. But it really makes you think a bigger picture about like what like impoverished single parents particularly are up against, and like navigating our public systems. It will totally set you on fire. But this is a great one for people who might be interested in something like that. One of the best memoirs I've ever read. And then, of course, this is absolutely not a hot take, but Educated by Tara Westover has to top the chart of one of the most compelling memoirs. So this is a story of a young Mormon woman, but she's not just Mormon. She's kind of growing up in like an extremist environment with very reactionary parents who live in rural Idaho, who don't believe in science or modern medicine and have quote unquote homeschooled her. But really, she did not receive much formal education at all. And her journey to attending Brigham Young University and then eventually earning a doctorate from Oxford, I believe, if I recall correctly. It is a harrowing story, and I think this appeals to like a broad swath of people. But would you agree, Emily? You read that this year too.
Absolutely. I could not put it down. Like physically couldn't stop thinking about it, couldn't stop reading it. And I think that was one of our original ideas on the podcast, was find a way to talk about this book. So I hope we will one day, but
talk about it more in depth, because it is just,
yeah, it's one of those where you finish the book and then you're immediately Googling the author, Googling everything you can find about it, because you just want to keep learning more about her life. She's an incredible writer and her story is insane.
Right. Like, to put it in context, as a little snippet, when she goes to BYU, she thinks it's like the most liberal hellhole she's ever been to, which is like the context she's coming from. So, if you haven't read it, or if someone in your life hasn't read it, this would be a great gift. Everyone should know about it.
Well, great. So that's our gift guide. We hope we've given you some ideas. You still have a little bit of time left. And remember, whenever you're shopping for books, it's always a great time to support the independent and local bookstores in your community. Or also, if you don't have that access to that, I love bookshop.org as an alternative to Amazon. Part of your purchase always goes to local bookstores, and they source a lot of their books from local bookstores. So, it's not perfect, but it's a great alternative, definitely, if you're going to take your money away from Amazon. So that's just my plug.
Agree.
All right. Do you want to talk about the books we've been reading recently, our little recommendation corner?
Sure. You go first.
Okay. So I've read a lot of books recently over Thanksgiving, so I was like, which one do I want to talk about? But I'll probably sprinkle the rest in at some point because they were all really good. But this one is the one I could not put down the most, so I picked it first. And it's called The Plot, and it's by Jean Hanf Korelitz. So sorry about that pronunciation, but this book, it says on the cover, I think it's a Stephen King quote, it's like insanely readable, and that is the thing I would give this. It was, I started it, I was in my drive home from the beach where I was for Thanksgiving, and I had like an hour and a half, 2 hours left in the drive, and I had finished my last audiobook. And so I just happened to have gotten this in from Libby, and so I put it on, and as soon as I got home, I put a hold on the ebook so I could keep reading it, so I didn't have to wait until I could listen to it anymore. So I finished it. I got home like, late that Saturday night. I finished it Sunday morning. I could not stop reading it. Anyway, so this book follows a aspiring writer, Jacob Finch Bonner, and he was kind of like a young success. I believe he was like 25, publishes his first novel. It gets pretty good buzz around it. People really think he's going to be like the next great writer. And then his second book kind of flops. He publishes a book of short stories. They don't do very well. His third and fourth attempts are rejected. At this point, he's unable to write his fifth attempt at a novel. He feels like he's just unable to follow up that early success. And he begins teaching at a Masters of Fine Arts writing program, which has basically converted itself so that it only meets for a few weeks over the summer. And that's kind of the whole thing. So he works at this college. And while teaching there, he's like, I hate my life. He's just down in the dumps. He's like so pessimistic. He doesn't even like bother to try. And he meets a student named Evan Parker who is like the most arrogant, annoying jerk douche that you could imagine. And he's like, oh my God, this guy. And so there's like a moment where the class is able to share in a group setting what novels they're working on, and he kind of refuses to share. He's like, no, I'm not sharing my idea. And so then in a private one-on-one meeting, he's like, you don't understand. I can't mess this book up. I don't believe you can even teach me how to write. I'm just here to maybe see if you can, but this book is going to be a success no matter what. Like, this plot is so good that this is going to be the book that everyone is talking about and can't get enough of. And so he tells Jacob, his professor, he tells him the plot, and Jacob is like, he was right, like that plot. And at first you don't really know what the plot is, so it's kind of like, what is it? And so then years pass, and Jacob is descended even further into anonymity. He is working at this like hotel that markets itself to writers who want to come and pay to live there and basically have uninterrupted writing time. That's now his career. So, and he still hasn't written that book. And he's like, whatever happened to that guy? Like, I never saw the book. I was sure it would be a success. Like, I would have heard about it. And so he Googles his name and finds out that he died of like a drug overdose just a few months after they met. He never wrote the book. He never published the book. And so Jacob's like, what do I do? Like, this book deserves to be written. It is the greatest plot I've ever heard. Like, it should exist. And I'm not really stealing because I don't, he showed me a few pages. I barely remember those. I don't have those. I'm not going to plagiarize them. So he writes the story. He takes the plot and it does everything he says, but it comes with like dire consequences. And the mystery just continues to unfold from there. And I really couldn't put it down. I will say it has mixed reviews. I did guess the ultimate big twist reveal pretty early on, but I'm not that kind of person that needs to be shocked by a twist. I don't really try to figure them out. I don't really care. I just want them to make sense. So the fact that I guessed it made me feel like this makes sense because I could kind of see it coming. Like, there was enough foreshadowing. So that's more important to me. I like things to be grounded in a way that you feel like that checks out. But if you're the kind of person who really wants to be shocked, I do think it becomes fairly obvious pretty early on, I would say. So that might not be for you, but it is insanely readable. I mean, I really couldn't put it down. I really wanted to know what was going to happen in the end, and it was a great, fast read. So I really recommend it.
Oh, those are the best kind of books that just like, you just need to know what happens next, and it's just captivating.
Yes.
I love that.
What about you? What have you read recently?
Well, this isn't really a hot take, but I finally read The Bell Jar, which is, you know, a classic and highly referenced in media. And actually, my take on this was that everything I've ever heard about The Bell Jar, what I took from it was it's about a girl who goes crazy. And I was really surprised when I read it because it is about somebody who is depressed. So it is a novel by Sylvia Plath. This is her only novel she published because she actually died before the release of this book. So it is a semi-autobiographical novel where she changes some of the main plot points and details about a woman named Esther who in the 60s, who starts, I think it's the 60s, who starts suffering from depression and what she describes as being inside of a bell jar. So the idea being she's in this airtight jar that distorts her view of the world, and she feels like she can't really interact with people in a way that is meaningful or the way that a normal person would. But I think it's really interesting because it's really representative of the way that people viewed mental health during that time. And it makes you think a lot about like, gosh, how would I be viewed in like, you know, the mid 20th century? Like, what if I couldn't have Prozac, right? Like, what if I like, you know, it just, it's like kind of, it's really good, and it's a classic for a reason. It is kind of heavy, but I would recommend it, I guess. And I'm glad that I checked it off. I feel like I can understand a lot more references in media. Like I recently watched an episode of Gilmore Girls where they referenced the bell jar, but again, they talked about it as if in terms of like somebody going insane, like literally insane. So again, the main character Esther is admitted to a couple of different institutions. Which is another interesting way to really like reflect on how mental health was addressed back in the mid 20th century. But it is a classic for a reason. So if you haven't read it, check it off your list. I'm glad that I got it in this year.
Awesome. Well, Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy Hanukkah.
Holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy holidays. All right. Bye.